And welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We speak about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you from the spiritual and soon-to-be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. And if you're not yet done so, please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and to the podcast. So I would like to speak about what happens when you receive an inheritance. It's an issue that I have a lot. I just literally had it a few days ago. Somebody came in, they were receiving an inheritance. And one of the questions that came up was, should they keep the inheritance in their name only? Or should they make it into a joint account with their spouse? Interesting question. Okay. Pros and cons. Okay. I would say that generally I tilt towards one direction. I will reveal that shortly. You don't have to wait till the end of the show. I'll review what I think shortly, but there definitely are two sides to the issue. Let's start with the cons, okay? Why would you want to keep the money just in your own name as the heir? Well, it could very well be that the person who left you the money, albeit a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, whatever it is, wanted the money to be in your name, right? Wanted it to be your money and your money only for you to do with it as you see fit, or maybe as they saw fit. Maybe they relayed certain information to you about their wishes and how they wanted you to use the money going forward. And that's number one. Number two, maybe you have a reason not to trust your spouse. Maybe you think that your spouse is going to spend the money, is going to, be frivolously spend the money, use the money in a way that you don't think should be appropriate in terms of creating some kind of a legacy from the deceased, the person who left you the money, and that would go against their wishes, and your wants, right? And by giving to them, so let's buy a new car, let's take a trip. That's not the way that you saw the money, right? That's an important aspect as well. That's another reason, okay? You also, this is really important. Maybe your marriage is not so good, okay? Then the first thing I can tell you is you want to keep paperwork. I had this a couple of years ago. I was actually dragged into court proceedings because the spouse claimed that the money is, it's their money also. It's 50-50. Luckily, my client had all kinds of paperwork that showed that the money was received in an inheritance. It's very important to keep a paper trail when you're receiving money in an inheritance. But that's important. That's a side, right? That's a side issue, but I can't stress that enough. That's something that's really needed to be done. Now, if your marriage is sort of rocky, then you might not want to put it in to joint name because your spouse, once you put it into joint name, right, all bets are off, right? Both account holders can pretty much do whatever they want with the money. Now, reasons to cane, yes, put it into joint name. One, if you're married, because you should have joint accounts for the most part. There should be no secrets financially. Everybody should sort of know what's going on. And all things being equal, joint accounts are, in my opinion, preferable. I'll tell you the real reason why now. I'm revealing the real reason why I believe in most cases. Again, you have to look and analyze each case, but in general, I'm a big, big fan of having joint accounts. Why is that? The real reason is because if something were to, God forbid, happen to you, okay, and I don't mean that you pass away, but rather you become incompetent. You no longer can make decisions. God forbid you had a stroke. I don't know, whatever it is. I'm not even talking about dementia or Alzheimer's or any kinds of things. Like suddenly something happens to you and you can no longer communicate with me, with your advisor, with the bank, whatever it is. If that money is not in joint name, if you don't have somebody who has some kind of assigning authority on that money, at the time that you most need the money, the most critical point in your life where you need the money, you potentially don't have access to it. It's de facto frozen because you are not able to be in touch with anybody. And since there's nobody else on the account, your advisor, your bank, whatever, can't receive the order to sell, can't receive the order to transfer money, right? And that turns into just a tragedy, right? Here you got this money, you have all of this money, and when you need it, right, to build out and extend a bathroom, right, widen a bathroom, pay for extra care, whatever it is, for rehabilitation, whatever it might be, and you really, really need this money, you can't access it because there's nobody else on your account. So to me, that is the overriding issue. Now, again, you get an inheritance. Should you put it in joint name? Should you keep it in your name? Again, it's a loaded question. I gave you my preference. My preference is based on everything else being equal, right? That you're in a good relationship and yada, 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 right? As I said at the beginning, you really need to analyze. Each person has to, there's no off-the-shelf answer, solution, right? Each person has to analyze their specific situation. And that situation can be, what were the wishes of the deceased? How do I view things? Am I on the same page as my spouse? Do I trust my spouse with the money? All these are important issues. Again, all things being equal, if those all check out, I totally believe, like I said, you should go the joint account route because of the issue that I mentioned, right? If you become incompetent, you need somebody to have the ability to access those funds. But again, if one of those things that I mentioned before don't check out, those are valid reasons to keep the money in your name only. You've been tuning into the Aaron Katzman Show. We speak about your life, your money, and your investments. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. If you've not yet done so, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll speak to you soon.